We as humans tend to be creatures of habit. We are comfortable doing our routines, things that are happening day to day in a predictable, comfortable fashion. And it is healthy to have a routine, but when we only have a routine and predictability, sometimes that can create stagnancy and sometimes feelings of depression or stuckness in our lives. And when we stick to what we know and what's familiar, it's not necessarily always something that's in our best interest. Um, there's a story I like to share where this family of cooks passed on this roast recipe from generation to generation. And they were all taught to cut both ends off the roast before they placed it into the pan. And this recipe had been, I think, passed to the fourth generation when they shared it with a family friend. And the friend asked, "Why do you cut the ends off the roast? I'm trying to understand, why is this part of the recipe? Why is it something that makes the roast taste so great?" And the woman went back and talked to her great-grandmother, and the grandmother said, "It's simply because the pan wasn't big enough. I had to cut both ends off the roast in order for it to fit." So these are generations of cooks who had cut both ends off the roast because that's the way they were taught. But their pans perhaps were bigger. It wasn't necessary for them to do this routine of cutting off the ends. So sometimes when we get into a routine, it's important to ask ourselves, why are we doing that routine? Is this something that's still good for me? Is this something that makes sense for me? And when you challenge a routine, when you look at it and you shake it up a little bit, it doesn't have to be a huge life-changing thing, but sometimes a subtle thing can make a big, huge life change for you. People who don't eat breakfast, if you start eating breakfast every day, which is going to be a whole other video, that simple change can create a lot more energy in your day, in the way that your body processes food, you retain weight. That simple thing can shift out and affect your whole health and well-being. When you challenge your routine, you give yourself the ability to focus on new things. Your ability to focus becomes more increased because you're all of a sudden paying attention to new details, and the brain starts firing up to pay attention to these new details. Your memory improves because when things are routine, it becomes pattern, it becomes background noise, subconscious, and it's just habit. But when you have to think about things, then all of a sudden the memory pops in. Okay, I need to remember that this and this and this is part of this equation. Your creativity lights up. All of a sudden you're thinking, you're analyzing a situation, you're processing, you're coming up with new concepts to fill and fix and work with. And then you're reevaluating, like this pot roast example. Why were they doing it? They didn't know. They just did it because that's the way it was always done. Well, when it was asked why, they reevaluated the situation. I don't think they're cutting the end off the roast anymore. It wasn't a necessity. They have a bigger pan. So they have the ability not to waste these pieces. When you look at your routine and shift it up, it creates this freshness, this excitement. You get to have more vigor and energy into the things that you're doing. It allows you to be excited and go on an adventure, even if it's something as simple as changing up what you're drinking with your coffee or what you're drinking in your coffee. You can give yourself new opportunity. You open many doors when you shift your routine. And as I said, it doesn't have to be something huge. You could do something as simple as taking a new route to work. Instead of going through those main streets, take a side street. Maybe you're going to see a new shop, or maybe you will discover it's a minute faster, or you don't have to wait with as much lights or things on that line. Change up your exercise routine. If you tend to not do anything and go anywhere, get up and go for a walk. If you go to the gym, instead of doing weights, add some cardio. Like, shake things up, add something new. If you have a routine that's constantly there, that's there to shift things, shake that routine itself up too. Like date night. If you, for every Thursday, you go out with this group of people, and you always go to a movie, well, instead maybe go for a park adventure, or go rock climbing, or try eating at a new restaurant. Shake things up, liven it up, try new things, shake up the day-to-day routine, because it will release you from that stagnancy, from being stuck, that feeling of there's got to be more than this, because there is. Take a simple step, shake up a routine, as subtle or big as you want it to be, and it'll surprise you what it'll do for your day. Talking to you tomorrow. Have a wonderful one.